Rahab the Harlot, a biblical portrait of courage, faith, and redemption. Among the many unexpected heroes in the Bible, few are as striking or as transformative as Rahab the Harlot. Introduced in the book of Joshua as a woman of questionable reputation, she emerges as a model of bold faith and becomes a crucial figure in the unfolding story of God's redemption. Rahab's life moves from the margins of Canaanite society to the heart of Israel's history, and even into the lineage of Jesus Christ. Her story is a profound testament to the reach of God's mercy and the power of faith to change a life, a legacy, and a future. Rahab's first appearance comes in Joshua 2, as the Israelites prepare to enter the Promised Land. After 40 years in the wilderness, they are poised to take Jericho, the heavily fortified Canaanite city. Joshua, the new leader of Israel, sends 2 spies to scout the land. The men arrive in Jericho and take shelter in the house of Rahab, a woman identified explicitly as a prostitute. At first glance, Rahab's home seems like a surprising and even suspicious choice. But strategically, it made sense. Her house was built into the city wall, offering a discreet vantage point. And as a known but overlooked figure, she likely received many travelers without raising alarms. However, what sets Rahab apart is not her occupation, but her response to the God of Israel. When the king of Jericho learns that Israelite spies have entered the city, he sends orders to Rahab to surrender them. But Rahab defies her king and hides the spies under bundles of flax on her roof. She sends the king's men away with a lie, claiming the spies had already departed. This action, harboring enemies of her nation, was treasonous and dangerous. But Rahab's motivation wasn't rooted in political calculation. It was rooted in faith. She tells the spies, "I know that the Lord has given you the land, for the Lord your God, He is God in heaven above and on the earth beneath." Joshua 2, 9, 11. This confession is remarkable. Rahab, a Canaanite and a pagan by background, had come to believe in Yahweh, the God of Israel. She had heard of His deeds, how He dried up the Red Sea, how He gave Israel victory over kings, and she believed. While the hearts of her fellow citizens melted in fear, Rahab responded in faith. Her courage was not based on strength or knowledge, but on a reverent trust in a God she had never seen, only heard about. Because of her faith and protection, she makes a request that she and her family be spared when the Israelites attack. The spies agree, on one condition, that she hang a scarlet cord from her window as a sign, and ensure her family is gathered inside her house when the city falls. The scarlet cord would mark her home as one under protection, much like the blood on the doorposts during Israel's first Passover in Egypt. True to God's promise, when Jericho falls in Joshua 6, Rahab and her family are spared. The walls of the city collapse except for the part where Rahab's house stood. She is rescued not only from physical destruction but from a doomed way of life. Scripture says, "Rahab the prostitute and her father's household and all who belonged to her, Joshua saved alive. And she has lived in Israel to this day." Joshua 6:25. She not only survives, she is welcomed into the covenant community of God's people. Rahab's story doesn't end with her deliverance. The Bible later reveals that she married a man named Salmon from the tribe of Judah. Together, they had a son named Boaz who would marry Ruth the Moabite, another outsider drawn into the family of God. Their lineage continues to David, Israel's greatest king, and ultimately to Jesus Christ, Matthew 1, 5, 6. Thus, Rahab the prostitute becomes Rahab the matriarch, forever honored in the genealogy of the Messiah. The New Testament does not shy away from her past, but it redeems it. She is celebrated in Hebrews 11, the great hall of faith, where it says, "By faith Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies." Hebrews 11:31. James likewise commends her. Was not Rahab the prostitute justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out by another way? James 2:25. Both writers point to Rahab's actions as the fruit of true faith, faith that acts, risks, and obeys. The biblical portrait of Rahab is one of radical transformation. She began as a woman shaped by a pagan culture, living in moral compromise. But she responded to truth when she heard it, and that response reshaped everything. Her faith moved her to courageous action, her courage led to her salvation, and her salvation led to her inclusion in God's redemptive plan. Rahab's life confronts all assumptions about who qualifies for God's mercy. She reminds us that faith is not about religious background, moral pedigree, or cultural status. It is about trusting in the living God. She reminds us that our past does not disqualify us from God's future, that those who trust in Him, no matter how broken, can be redeemed, restored, and used mightily. Conclusion. Rahab the Harlot became Rahab the Heroine, a woman of faith, courage, and legacy. Her scarlet cord was not just a signal to passing soldiers, it was a symbol of divine grace. In a world destined for destruction, she found refuge in God. Her story still speaks today, that no one is beyond the reach of redemption, and that faith, even in the darkest places, can lead to life, legacy, and eternal hope.